drugs affect the masses. There's no excuse. You've been loosed.
This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Come on in here. Welcome home. I am so glad that you are here. Listen, we're going to hit the floor running because we got some serious things to get into tonight. My name is Janice Pons. I am your host on this show, on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspectives, Spiritual Truths. And you know my heart, provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention. Have we ever been in a time that we have seen so many issues going on in our nation where there is a need for intervention? And that's what I'm all about. So let's dive in because there's a vicious warfare going on, and it's coming for the jugular veins of our families, of our children, of our society, of humanity at large. And all you have to do is pay attention to the news just a little bit or just talk to each other. And we know there are some serious issues going on, and it's affecting our children, and it's affecting specific age groups. So we're going to dive in tonight because we want to be about solutions. We want to empower each other as members of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America because we want people well. So we're talking about fighting. You know, the Bible talks about fighting the good fight of faith. So what does it mean? We're fighting a good fight of faith. We know what faith is: the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So if we are bound up, if we have people that are bound up with addiction and suicidal thoughts and people dropping dead and all these different dynamics that we see going on around us, the manifestation of that faith. We want people well. By faith, we see them well, but there are certain things that we need to talk about, maybe to help them get there. So we're fighting the good fight of faith, and we're also dealing with families fighting for life. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. Families fighting for life. Listen, let's dive in because here we go with these trends. And of course, this is fair use. It is inundated. It's in medical journals. It's everywhere. It's in behavioral health journals. It's in the circles I'm in professionally. It is everywhere. And what we're dealing with is the vulnerability of our children in our society and specific age groups that are ending up in some really serious, being put in very serious positions where their lives are being jeopardized and threatened. Now, we want our children in America to thrive. We want our children in America to be safe. So should we be discussing, processing, talking about, thinking about, strategizing, being solution-focused problem solvers as it relates to our precious babies in this country, okay? That's my heart. I am really pressing down on that because there's some serious trends, but there are answers. Now, we've talked about this before, but we're going to dissect some things very specifically tonight when we're talking about families fighting for life. If they're fighting for life, the opposition coming against them is death. So let's look at something. There was a recent study that examined the effects of edible cannabis. Here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I never would have thought that I would have seen the day that on pretty much every single block, there's a dispensary to get marijuana. It's medical marijuana, and in the month of March, there's going to be a vote about recreational marijuana. And there are trends that emerge in states where recreational marijuana is legal. We'll talk about that a little bit. Okay, so edible cannabis, listen, we're talking about medical marijuana that specific manufacturers, that is the business of their choice. They have a legal right to have that business there. I'm not coming against them and their constitutional right to have a business, okay? They can have medical marijuana. But we're going to look at some specific things, dynamics that are affecting what's going on in our nation. Edible cannabis exposure and cases of significant toxicity in children under the age of 5 has increased exponentially in the last 5 years, particularly from 2017 to 2021. And the angle that we're going to take tonight as it relates to families fighting for life is this consistent increase in that area. So the legalization of cannabis in more states has made, obviously, cannabis products more available. So the medical use of cannabis is allowed in close to 40 states, and it's just increasing more and more. Washington, D.C., by the end of May 2022, they were allowing recreational cannabis use. So as it relates to children, I'm talking about our babies, our children, those that are vulnerable, those that can't fight for themselves, those that can't be solution-focused problem solvers and know the dangers that are lurking in our society coming after them, that can literally put them on a critical care unit in a hospital. They can end up, first of all, they're going to have a euphoria-inducing effect if they ingest edible cannabis. They will end up dealing with paranoia, anxiety, elevated heart rates, and sedation. So, following the legalization of cannabis, there was an increase in unintentional cannabis exposure, and it's been observed all around us. So this put our country in a position where the poison control centers, they were hopping. They were hopping with calls. They were being put in positions where they had to make some quick decisions, and sometimes those decisions were take the child to the emergency room. So these products that all of a sudden are in abundance, pretty much on in Tulsa, the community here where I live, a dispensary, I wouldn't be overstating it to say pretty much on every block. Let's just give it the benefit of the doubt and say every other block. So these edible preparations appear similar to treats. Now here's the deal with these precious little children. They don't see it as, but that's some edible cannabis that I need to stay away from. So what is happening is that they are ingesting the products and they do not have the body weight of adults. So let's look at one of those products that is so easily available through a company called Kiva Confections. So we have a visual there. Kiva Confections, that's milk chocolate. It looks so inviting. But it says it contains high levels of THC in small print. It's small. That's small print. But if you like chocolate, doesn't that look inviting? So we have Kiva Confections. Kiva Confections. Looks inviting to me. Then look at the little cats. Now, do you think that let me ask you this. How do you think that would appeal to a 5-year-old? Because the under age of 5, that's who's being hit really hard. If they see that, look, do you know they put anything in their mouths? And we're going to talk in a minute about the age group that this is really hitting hard. 2 and 3-year-olds. 2 and 3-year-olds is hitting hard. So look at that. Is that inviting? Do those colors appeal to you as an adult? How might a child respond to seeing that? So then there's a company called Lulu's Edibles. Lulu's Edibles. Now, that's dark chocolate. dark chocolate is supposed to be healthy for us. It does supposed to affect our circulatory system, heart health. Well, it's loaded with THC. Now this one, not only is it loaded with THC, it has a strong message called, now this is, you see the color, it's called the Purple Panty Dropper. Purple Panty Dropper. Say it fast. Purple Panty Dropper. Okay. Thanks for letting us know that maybe that might happen if you ingest that. Purple Panty Dropper. All right. We appreciate you letting us know very loud and clear the advertisement there. Now listen, these companies have a legal right to exist. Stick with me. Then we have Homegrown Cannabis Company in Midwest City, Oklahoma. They have such a colorful presentation there. How do you think a child who's under the age of 5, if they just see that sitting out, how do you think they would respond? Would it get their attention? Do colors, does chocolate, does candy, does cookies, does brownie, do these things get the attention of children? So we have Kiva Confections, which is a company, okay? We've got Lulu's Edibles, and then we've got Homegrown Cannabis Company with their colorful presentation. So here's my appeal for us to provoke thought, bring awareness, and look at, is there a need for intervention? What is the responsibility of manufacturers, if there's any at all, to help make our children safe? Listen, they are making, as they say in the hood, buku money. I don't have a problem with anybody having a legal business and making money. If there is any chance that a business that one would have could jeopardize the safety of our children in the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America, should there be, I'm posing a question, should there be some type of onus, where possibly those companies would say, okay, look, we really care about our children. I have children. I have I got grandchildren. I have nieces. I have nephews. Of course, as a business, we want to go on record that we want to keep our children safe. And you know what? We'll even go so far as earmarking 1%, 2%, 3% of our earnings to go into the prevention of or the efforts to keep children safe. Be it ads that target specific messages, of making the manufacturing of how you get in these packages, making it so child safe, that there's no way that a child could get in it, a child that's because the age under the age of 5 is who is ended up in emergency rooms. These are the children that we're ending up talking about them through interactions with the Poison Control Center. So I am advocating for manufacturers to be empowered to step forth to say, we want our children in America to be safe. They have a legal right to have that business. They do. They have a legal right to have that business. Okay. We can talk until we're blue in the face about we shouldn't have and they shouldn't do. Well, it's legal. Medical marijuana. And I have a colleague. She's gotten a degree in that area, and the medical benefits. I mean, we're talking about people that had seizures, Parkinson, all kind of things that when they get this, not the THC, but the CBD in them, they just stop shaking. So there needs to be more research. There needs to be more investigation. We need to be knowledgeable about what's going on with that. And there are people that are educated for that. But what we're talking about is edible cannabis that has these high contents of THC in it. So what is the responsibility of companies? Now, the antithesis of that is, what is the responsibility of adults? Those companies that I just named, they have a legal right to run their businesses. Now, given the fact that when these children, and let's go ahead and put this number out there, when they studied and analyzed data coming through the Poison Control Center, there were 7,043 cases involving edibles in the age group of children under the age of 5. After excluding cases because of unknown outcomes, they came down with a final number of 4,827 cases that remained. Now, bottom line, the medical outcomes of these children that were under the age of 5, they would either have minor effects, moderate effects, or major effects. So the bottom line, they ended up in critical care units, non-critical care units at hospitals, follow-up for medical advice, or maybe even a refusal to seek medical care at all. Okay? So from 2017, we're talking about in our nation, from 2017 to 2021, the number of pediatric edible exposure cases rose from 207 to 3,054. Whoa. Now, the largest number of, this is where it really hits home to me. I love children. Love them, love them, love them. I was a teacher of elementary school students, adolescents, emotionally disturbed adolescent males who were incarcerated. I love children as an educator, and I was a school psychologist. I love setting up treatment programs for children and youth, adolescents. I've seen it all, working with children who were 7, 8, 9, who had attempted suicide. I love children, and I like children well, and I like children who are protected. So the largest number of cases were that got exposed. The cases went from 207 to 3,054. The largest number were from children, patients that ended up in the hospital that were 2 years old, followed by 3-year-olds. Are you concerned? See, so we got the manufacturers, okay? They want their children safe too. They don't want their children eating edibles. This is a adult decision, but all of a sudden, these children, they're ingesting them. Listen, staggering numbers here. The study that was done, 97% of those cases occurred in somebody's home. Oh, do the children own the home? Is their name on the mortgage? Do they pay the rent? Here we go. What is the responsibility of adults? We're so distracted. God help us. We are so distracted in our society. I mean, it's coming from every angle. So 97% of these little ones who ingested edible cannabis, 97% occurred in someone's home. Stick with me. 90.7% occurred in those children's own homes. Logic, deductive reasoning brings us to the conclusion of fill in the blank. Hello. Are we watching our children? Are we watching our children? Look, you know what I propose? I respectfully submit that Janice Pons, listen, I am a licensed clinician. My specialty is in addiction, and I work mental health, addiction, and I'm a certified brain injury specialist as well. I love what I do. I have a great passion for it, but I am here advocating as a parent. I am here advocating that the manufacturers, they have a legal right to have these companies, and parents, what is your responsibility? So can we possibly partner together to keep our children safe under the age of 5? Can we work together to protect our children? What is the role of the people running the companies? They're adults. The parents, the 90% that this happened in the children's home, they're adults. I just had the thought in my mind. I can feel some of you thinking. You said, some of you probably think, well, they spaced out. They might be. But maybe this can be a clarion call. Maybe this can be a clarion call about, guys, we have to protect our children. You know what? Hold on. I'll say things. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything, but what will be the results if we just continue to act like there is no elephant in the living room? So how is it affecting these children? Their central nervous system becomes depressed. They get tachycardia, their heart's beating totally out of control, they're vomiting, mydriasis, where their pupils are dilated, and they're in this state that's like, something's wrong, and the respiratory depression, they aren't breathing like they're supposed to. So, who's interested in protecting our babies who are under the age of 5? Now, I want to segue into something else here. It has to do with things that are addictive as well. We are in a crisis in our nation. So we got the edible cannabis that these little children under the age of 5, they're ending up in the ER. And then, listen, we're going to talk about fentanyl. I spoke somewhere this week, and a lady, she's an attorney, she's very much into the fight about recreational marijuana coming here, and she broke down crying as she gave her presentation about a very well-established person that their family member ended up smoking marijuana, and that young man died. Why? It was laced with fentanyl. Listen, the government is considering the designation of illegal fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. So let's just get on down to what does that mean? Any weapon that is designed or intended to cause death or serious bodily injury through the release, dissemination, or impact of toxin or poisonous chemicals or their precursors would be defined as WMD. Illegal fentanyl and its analogs or things similar to it, especially carfentanil, are such toxins capable of causing mass deaths or biological impairment. Is coming across our borders. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol in 2021 totaled more in terms of seizure of illegal fentanyl. See, it was a painkiller. It was a painkiller, but it is highly addictive. So they seized in 2021 more than 11,000 pounds. Listen to this. That 11,000 pounds is more than 2.5 billion lethal doses and enough to kill 7 times the population of the United States of America. Listen, this stuff is taking people out. But people don't know what they're getting. They just don't know what they're getting. It's in Xanax, it's in Percocet, it's in OxyContin, it's in Adderall. You don't know what you have. This young man here in Tulsa, he died smoking weed laced with fentanyl. Oh yeah. We don't know what we're getting. It's truly Russian roulette. So this carfentanil, it's a tranquilizer, guys, for elephants. But see, when you have that addictive mind, when you have that addictive thinking, which equals addictive behavior, which equals insanity, the addictive process, your mind becomes so risk driven. One more hit, but just a little bit, you just don't. Your body develops a tolerance to the point it's like you're going to take a hit of something stronger. I've seen it over and over and over and over again. And I've seen people that get to the point of chewing fentanyl patches. Dead. Bam. Just like that. Their addictive mind is so distorted that they think they can get away with it. And I had addicts to tell me this. They said, Miss Janice, I'm going to tell you. I got another high in me, but I don't have another recovery in me. I said, baby, that might be a good place to be. Just might be. So how are they getting it in their bodies? Injection, orally, inhalation. These law enforcement officers, they get around and they're falling out. Inhaling it, absorbing it through the skin and the eyes. And this is how children are getting a hold of it. They're getting a hold of it. And children are dying. They're finding children limp, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds. They're getting fentanyl off the carpet. They're getting it out of purses. They're getting it in their bodies. They're rubbing their eyes. They're putting their hands in their mouths, and they are dying. Do you know the number one group in our nation that's the leading cause of death is in our nation right now, those between the ages of 19 and 45. Overdose from fentanyl. Overdose from fentanyl. Listen, where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? See, we start off looking at the edible cannabis, right? What is the responsibility of Lulu's edibles? Is there a responsibility for Kiva Confections? Is there a responsibility for the company in Midwest City, Oklahoma? What is the responsibility of parents? Let's come straight down the middle, guys. We're responsible adults. We want our children safe. What would happen if we partner together to keep our children safe? Speaking of which, there's an organization that's already in motion. They are actively involved in the legislative process here. Listen, they are called Families Against Fentanyl. They have a petition. I am highly, respectfully encouraging my audience, my faithful supporters. Thank you so much for making this show in the top 10 on the Creative Motion Television Network on Roku. Thank you. There are thousands of people looking at this. I want to respectfully request that you go to www.familiesagainstfentanyl.com.org. I think it's .org. .org. www.familiesagainstfentanyl.org. There's a petition. We got to help them. For legislation to happen, we want to make this a weapon of mass destruction because it fits the definition of what one is. There's a petition. They have about 45,500 and some odd signatures. We want to help them get 50,000 signatures. I'm reaching out to Families Against Fentanyl. The founder of that is Mr. James Ryu, his son, my understanding, I think it was on 60 Minutes, his son died from an overdose of fentanyl. I have a brother who died from opiates as well, heroin. He was a heroin addict. So we have something in common. I want to partner with these people, and I want you to help Janice Pons, to help Families Against Fentanyl, to get the signatures that we need, because listen, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. These people are dying. But that is a pattern of destruction in the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. Listen, blessed is a peacemaker. We are peacemakers. Blessed is a peacemaker. They shall be the sons of God. They shall be the children of God. What does God want for these families? Families fighting for life. James, we partner with you. I ask you to go to www.familiesagainstfentanyl.org. Let's sign that petition. We want to help James, who lost his son, to get 50,000 signatures. That's when we're positioned to have an influence on legislation. It's got to convert into policies because fentanyl is poisoning our communities. It's the number one cause of death of those between 18 and 45. I said 19. Please forgive me. Is 18 and 45. And it's the children that are under the age of 14. It's the highest group of deaths for those under 14 overdosing on fentanyl. Partner with me. God bless you. Help us out. Let's help James. www.familiesagainstfentanyl. Go sign that petition. God bless you. Thank you for your support. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
Education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation. A new nation. We are God empowered. Strength is ours. Liberty, been set free. Education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.